Hey, welcome to another great episode of Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Myself, Captain Travis Yaeckel, in the studios. Special guest, Captain Ty Colby, here with us tonight. And as always, Big Country, Captain Big Rick.
Hey, baby.
And we're going to talk some fishing, guys. We're going to talk about what's been going on in Tampa Bay. And a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We got a lot going on. So join us, share this video, show all your friends, and we're going to talk some fishing, guys. Join in, ask us questions. If you got anything, we'll do our best to answer them, and we'll go from there. So, Big Rick, what's been going on, buddy?
I have fished one time since last week's show. I bugged out Friday, went to Georgia, and got home yesterday. So I don't know what's going on.
The weather.
Yeah,
the weather
I
has
fished
been
Thursday, and I tried to talk the folks out of it. And they fish with me every year when they're down on vacation, and it was the only day they could go. And they're like, "We know it's going to be bad, but we're willing to do it anyway." And it was, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, you almost talk them out of it.
Yeah,
I tried to talk them out
Yeah.
of it, and we caught 3 snook, 2 trout, and a ladyfish, and a seagull, and that.
Was it a seagull or a tern? 2 points for the tern.
I think it was a seagull.
No.
I told you it might have been a tern on the way, but I was thinking after we talked it was a seagull. But so I don't know. I spent my weekend pulling down a fence and working around on a property up there. So I don't know what's going on. You guys are gonna have to kind of carry the show tonight. I don't really have a whole lot.
Well, I'm a short guy, but I got some pretty wide shoulders.
Yes, you
So
do.
We'll do what we can. I can tell you, I've been on the water since the last show, honestly, and the weather has changed dramatically from day to day. We had the cold front come through.
Yep.
It got warm for a couple days. Then we had another one come through. This morning, I'd say between this morning and yesterday morning were probably the worst as far as the wind goes.
Absolutely.
Catching bait was really a pain in the neck. I had caught it inshore one day and went back to that pattern and couldn't find it. Had to go offshore or into the bay on the markers and get some bait. So it's been a grind, but we have been catching plenty of bait. It's around. It's just moving around. Water temperature's changing dramatically.
Right.
The wind is pushing things around. We've got some low water that we've had, strong north winds blowing these negative low tides that we've had in the morning down to nothing. So fish have been pushed around. Everything's just sort of been kind of pushed around the way that I've seen it.
Oh yeah, water temp too.
Yeah,
Water temp's been crazy.
water
10 degrees
temps-
difference from
Water
8
temps
days
all
ago.
over the place. Bait, like I said, one day you're catching white bait on a marker, and the next day you're catching thread fins and Spanish sardines, or they're this big, and the next day they're this big. So it's just a matter of day to day. get in the grind and get in there. And some days you get lucky and it's one and done, and the other days you're spending an hour and a half trying to catch bait. So
Yep.
what I've been doing, and it's worked out both ways, is I've been putting my clients off, especially my half days, pick up about 10 o'clock,
Yep.
10:30. That gives me plenty of time to get out there, figure out what's going on, catch bait, get the boat cleaned up, and get the clients out. It does two things. A, it gives me the time, and then B, it lets it warm up a little bit, starts letting that tide come back in, and that's really been a big thing for me, I think, in the last few days.
And you've been up at night late here lately. So what Travis is not telling y'all is Travis is he's auditioning for a boy band.
Right on the spot.
You guys are going to be seeing Travis on The Voice.
That's right, American Idol.
He'll be starring soon.
Oh, you can't tell these guys anything.
If you want one, it's a hard part. We just learned that.
That's the hard part.
Okay, so I'm at the barber shop, and I'm about falling asleep in the chair, and I normally get a skin fade with a little bit on top, and the guy's cutting my hair, and he says something or other, and he goes, "You want the hard part?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take." Well, I didn't know that it was a line down the side of your head like we used to get. So
yeah,
I dropped 10 years in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, lost the beard, lost the hair. Wife didn't know who she married when I got home. So anyhow, it's helping me catch fish. The boat's faster. I can get into the market.
More
quicker.
aerodynamic.
Yeah. So it's all working out, man. But anyhow, so like I said, things have been moving around. Fishing's been
didn't mean
good.
to get you sidetracked.
I know. Fishing's been good certain periods of the day. It's been tough other periods of the day. Certain times it's been real tough. But anyway, so we got a special guest with us tonight, guys. We introduced him here when we first started the show, but it's Captain Ty Colby. And give us a little bit of information about yourself, kind of where you got started fishing and what you kind of offer for your charter business.
Pretty much started here, actually in the Roach and fishing a lot of palmetto. Past 20 years. Moved away for a little while. Lived in Ocala, so we fished a lot of Crystal River, Yankeetown area.
Okay.
Really had to tighten my game up there. It's a different ball game. There's no white bait. It's all shrimp, mud minnows, and artificials up there. Rock bottom, no real grass flats, far and few in between. Just knew I wanted to guide, kind of made a name for myself in tournaments, and then pretty much stuck to it and got my license and got all legit and got it going. We do full day, half day charters, mostly inshore. We do some near shore trips, but mostly focus on that during the winter time when we can get out. As everything moves in a little closer, it makes it a little easier to go after.
Good deal. So you found what you need to be doing in life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, air conditioning, heating just wasn't cutting it.
I hear you.
Well, I can tell you as it goes, it gets somewhat easier, but it definitely becomes a job. But it's fun, man. As long as you enjoy what you're doing, it'll work, man. It'll work. Keep your head in the right way, and you'll be all right, man. But
been picking up steam. It's pretty good. I think the one who sees it as a job mostly is my wife, because I don't like to take her as much as I used to, because it's like my day off now, and she's like, "But I want to go," and now you're getting lazy on me. I'm like, "Well, it's 40 degrees outside. I don't want to go if I don't have to."
That's part of it, though. I don't know anybody that's done this for any length of time that hasn't got that way, and that's and they tell you before you start, "Oh, you're gonna not like fishing anymore as much as you do now." Yeah, crazy. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It ain't hit me yet.
Well, I still love it. I still love it.
Here's what you got to watch out for, and you're right. It hasn't hit you, but it will hit you. Not take the tournaments aside, because that's a whole different. The tournaments is a whole different adrenaline rush. That's a whole different deal. But when it comes down to just and you got young kids too, and I'm sure you do.
Yes, sir.
That there's an excitement taking young ones out. But,
Absolutely.
Both my girls are grown, and it's just kind of like it's a day off, and it's just different when they get older than it is now.
Well,
but
and you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a day off. And generally, and I don't want to go too far into this, but as a guide, your day off is what you used to do before you were fishing guide. Some people was you went fishing.
Exactly.
So your day off, a lot of times I'm trying to get something done around the house.
Right.
I mean, we were just talking on the way over. I've got a schedule right now where I'm trying to finish a boat, and I look at my schedule and I go, I know I'm not going to get it done until here because
Right.
it's impossible. So
Yep.
the days off, it's a lot harder to go out and do some fun fishing because you're on the water so much that you got to get the other stuff done. But
It's like that with any job, though. I play a lot
Absolutely.
of golf, and the guys on the golf course that work at the course, I can never get them to play.
right,
I'll go in there and say, hey, you know what? How about on Tuesday let's play golf? And they're like, I don't want to play golf. I'm here every day. Why do I want to play golf on my day off?
right,
So and I'm sure no matter how fun the job is, it's gonna get you that way.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. But
But anyway,
It's all good.
You sound like you got a pretty solid start, and that's cool. And another thing, and I goofed in this when I first started. Surround yourself with the right people, because that is important. And
Absolutely.
When I first started, I didn't, and man, I paid for it for years. Just, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, I try to keep everybody around me that's got a positive mindset. I mean,
Yep.
we're all going to complain about things, but at the end of the day, you just got to get out there and do it. If it's something you love,
Stay
you just
away
got to
from the
do it.
knuckleheads and the poachers.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the guys that was instrumental in pushing me actually to get my captain's license and start guiding was Captain Danny Garino. I consider him a really good friend of mine, and he told me the same thing actually that he told Jason, because Jason says the same thing. But there's only one thing that you really have in this industry, and that's your name.
Mm-hmm.
And once you tarnish it, it is incredibly difficult to get it back. We've seen it with several other fishing guides,
Right.
not only in our area, but, but in general.
I'm living proof of that.
Because-
and I didn't realize the couple of the guys that I was running with were that,
Right.
doing
Well-
those things. And then over time, I just kind of started paying attention a little bit. I'm like, I gotta shed this.
Well, and,
This
and it's
ain't-
and it's nothing. And I don't mean to say it's anything unique to say fishing, guiding or whatever. But just in general, if you're the independent AC guy, it's Smith's Air Conditioning. It becomes a part of you. Well, because we're so independent as a guide, they know Ty, they know Travis, they know Rick. You know what I mean? That's who you are. You build
Yep.
your name around
Right.
that. You're not hiding under Jason's Plumbing or whatever the case may be.
Correct.
So it's all you, and you put yourself out there. So it is important to kind of
100% marketing yourself.
do what you do, stay true to yourself and stay on the right path. But you got a good head on your shoulders, brother. I don't think you got nothing to worry about, man. I think
Yeah,
the hardest thing
appreciate
we
that.
got to worry about is getting bait and getting
Get
back
bait.
to
Let's get
getting
some
back
bait.
to
Yeah.
the clients
Oh, yeah.
before they get mad because they're sitting at the dock, man.
Going through nets like yesterday.
That's it, dude. That's it. But anyway, guys. So we got quite a few people joining us here. We're kind of open micing it tonight, guys. We didn't really have a set schedule. We wanted to get in here, bring Captain Ty in with us, introduce him to you guys, ask us any questions that you've got. I don't know how many of you guys have been on the water in the last, say, week or so. Probably not a lot. Today, when I was coming back in, we probably caught about 30 snook today, which was a good day considering the conditions. And as I'm coming back in, we stopped at like 6 or 7 different spots, just kind of real quick, boom, boom, boom. And as I'm looking out, man, I'm looking out a Cockroach Bay, and I'm watching waves break over the bar on the inside of the bar.
That's not good.
And so anybody that was out in the bay today, especially after about 12:30, 1 o'clock, it was gnarly, dude.
Mhm.
I mean, we caught bait in like 3-footers, but when I was looking out there coming back in, I was like, holy smokes, man, that's some nasty stuff. So if you are going to get out, be careful. Watch that wind report. Some folks have asked me, what app I use for wind. I use SailFlow. I don't know if you guys,
I use Windfinder.
You use Windfinder.
Mhm.
So those two good wind apps that you can check out. I know that, and I can speak for SailFlow, that it gives you an hour-by-hour wind direction, gust, and sustain sort of estimate, and they're pretty on point, man. Like if it says it's going to fall down at noon or start reducing, it's pretty darn accurate. But it's one of those tools where a lot of folks will look at the weather, they'll look at the radar, they'll do all this stuff, worry about rain and
Right.
fronts and all this stuff. But the wind is probably one of the most important things
It is
out there because it affects everything else.
Correct.
So, and especially this time of year, it gets windy.
Mhm.
It's coming. Next will be the rain. We're going to start having some thunderstorms and rain. But just be careful is the point. There's been several folks hurt in the last few weeks just around the South Shore area, and the stuff that we've been out in the last week is nothing to play with. So.
Absolutely not, especially when you're by yourself. Say throwing the net or something, you fall off that boat, and a lot of things can go wrong real fast.
Game over, man.
Mm-hmm.
Game over. And we've done a safety episode a couple different times, but wear that life jacket, wear that waist pack, and a PLB, a company called Rescue Link makes a little PLB device, and this isn't so much as that main important thing, but it's something good to have on the boat, especially if you're guiding. If something happens and you get in an area and maybe you can't respond or whatever, your clients can hit that thing, and they're coming. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in Cockroach Bay, but you sit down and you flake out and have a heart attack. And we were talking about it. We kind of do a safety check on the boat when I'm out of my marina. It's nice for that little 10-minute ride. And I tell everybody, life jackets are in that front hatch. All the safety equipment, flares, horn, PLB, it's all in that little dry box right there if anything happens, and so it's all the stuff that you kind of pretense to happen, and as long as everybody's prepared, man, you can prevent a bad situation from getting worse. So,
absolutely.
But anyway, guys, like I said, you've got us here for about 40 more minutes. We're in the studio kind of just free micing it, and we'd love to answer any questions.
I guess we don't have the sound we had last week.
If we got the sound fixed, let us know because we can't hear it.
Last week we sounded like we were confidential informants, and I don't see that. Nobody's commented that, so we must be back to normal.
Yep.
So, Ty, let's talk a little bit. I saw you the other day fishing in an area real close to where I was at. This was yesterday, I think.
Yep.
What was your bite like? I know you fished a little bit later in the afternoon.
Yesterday was tough. It was definitely tough. Getting bait was a grind. I mean, usually this time of year, typically with past years, I mean, you get bait 30, 40 minutes, you're blacked out live well ready to go. 2 hours yesterday, and I still didn't think I had enough, but I still fished. I mean,
sure.
We had to get to the clients and get them picked up. Tough bite. I felt like everything was lethargic still. The water temp dropping. They're not chasing the baits down like they normally do this time of year. Felt like I had to beat the mangroves up a lot. Our bites were coming right against the mangroves, almost as if they can pin the bait to it and not have to work hard for it.
What time did you start fishing yesterday?
I picked up at 1, and we fished till about 6.
Okay.
I gave him a little extra time because, again, it was a tough bite. We turned out a few snook, but that was it. I mean, it was pretty tough. Luckily, my clients were troopers, though. So.
What's up, Dylan? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for watching, man. We appreciate you. And we got to get you in here, too. Old Dylan Hubbard, man. We send anybody that calls me, man, that wants to go offshore, especially, us being fishing guides, we get calls for all different kinds of stuff. And I always send my people to Hubbard's, man.
Absolutely.
If I got, 5, 6, 7 people, they're wanting meat
Hubbard's.
it's go to Hubbard. They run an awesome operation over there, and you can't go wrong. So a big shout out to him and Dylan. And, Dylan, not only does he run his a premier operation over there, but he's also a very big advocate for fishing and conserving, our fishing rights through FGA and a couple other different organizations that he works with. So hats off to you, brother. We
very
certainly
knowledgeable
appreciate it.
of what's going on.
Absolutely.
A lot more so than I think
people know.
Quite a bit of the info I get from him.
Yeah, he's the man, dude. So we certainly appreciate your support, man. And we'll get you on the show here real soon too, man. But guys, we're coming up here. We got a minute or two. We're going to be doing some trivia. We got a little prize pack giveaway here. We got a sweet American flag hat because you know how we do, representing the U.S. of A. And we got a Okuma T-shirt.
That's a Quantum hat, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a Quantum hat and Okuma T-shirt, so you can pro staff it right on down the road.
And Ty's got the trivia question coming for you after the break.
And Ty's trivia.
Get ready.
Trivia.
We'll get you set up, guys. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, we got Captain Ty Colby in the house, myself, Captain Travis Yaeckel, and Big Country Captain Rick Liles. Guys, we're going to take a little break, pay a few bills, and when we get back, we'll be talking more fishing. You're watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. See you then. are back,
Back.
guys. We appreciate it. Captain Travis Yaeckel here in the house. Captain Ty Colby. Big Country Captain Rick Liles. You're watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Live, right here
Live.
from Tampa Fishing
live.
Outfitters, man. It's that time of year, too. If you guys are looking for stuff, come on in TFO,
Absolutely.
man. They got it. They've got 3 stores. We always kind of push Tampa Fishing Outfitters, but you've got St. Pete Fishing Outfitters and Tarpon Fishing Outfitters.
Correct.
And all 3 stores are primo.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a serious fisherman or just getting started recreational, these are the places you want to go to
And
get
we're
your
pushing
gear.
for Ruskin Outfitters.
South Shore, baby.
South Shore Outfitters.
I mean-
We need them to expand down to the south end of the county.
Yes, sir. No, that would be clutch, man.
That'd be all right.
Especially driving here in traffic.
Yeah.
We ain't lying. For those of y'all don't know, we have to get off the water by like 3:30, shower, change, and get in. It takes us an hour and a half to get over here just to do the show.
You guys
So
showered?
it's always a.
I didn't fish today, so I'm fresh.
I had to shower, man. After that bait run this morning, dude, it was it's pretty gnarly. But anyway, guys, so we're talking some fishing here. I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of what I've noticed over the last few days in fishing, and you guys can kind of bounce some of your thoughts on it and what you guys have been seeing too. But I've actually been finding a lot of fish, even in the last 3 or 4 days. We had this cold weather move in, and I really wasn't sure when we left the dock where to go. Did these fish fall back to a wintertime area or pattern? Did they stay in their spring spots, are they going to bite where they're at? Sort of deal. And so for the first day of this colder weather, I really hit a lot of area, and we'd catch a couple fish here and I'd move, and I was just trying to see where the population of these snook were. A lot of our snook came out of the river early February.
Yep.
So we've had great snook fishing, for the last several weeks, but just in the last week or so, I've noticed that fish that we were catching last week, they're not there.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're not there. They're gone. And so we kind of went on a mission to find some fish, and did find some fish, found quantities of fish. But like you said, a lot of them really didn't want to feed. Some of the fish that I found early in the morning, we actually came back and fished them in the afternoon, and it was a totally different experience. What I've found is some of these flats and some of these back bay trenches are holding these snook.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the water starts coming up and that sun starts coming out, these fish are sliding up out of these holes, and they're getting to the trees as quick as they can. If they're not going to the trees, they're laying in the sand. The water, which has been really cool in the last week and a half even, has gotten super clear because we had all this cold weather.
Yep.
So you're able to see these fish, and sometimes that sort of breaks it up where they're not eating because, you throw a bait in there, and they're seeing everything take place. You know what I mean?
You're scaring them.
They're scaring them.
Absolutely.
And sort of past that is I've noticed that I'm not doing a whole lot of chumming. I'm not chumming these fish. A lot of the spots when I'm pulling up in there, I'm throwing some single baits out. I'm seeing if we can get some reaction strikes, seeing if we can catch a few. And I normally pull a few fish out before I actually start chumming those fish up. I've noticed that the areas that I'm fishing, it's really clear, and I'm tucking up and getting in where there's not wind. Well, inherently, you've got glass-like conditions in these little pockets, and as soon as you throw a bat full of chum or try to fire the fish up, they just scatter, And so it's been a real methodical kind of way to fish a spot, even though there's a bunch of fish there.
Yeah.
And so we've sort of slowed things down and kind of picked away at them. But I've noticed that as soon as that little ripple got on and the water got up, they were ready to go.
And
You
we
could
talked
lay it
about
on 'em.
that a while back. Do you typically chum? I asked both y'all this. Do y'all typically throw a bat full of chum before you put the lines in the water, or do you typically get your lines in the water then throw a bat full of chum?
I like to chum it first. I'm kind of an impatient person, ADD if you will. So
Right.
I like to chum, see what's there. If I got a lot of action, I know we got a good chance of putting, multiple fish in the boat, possibly, multiple hookups at the same time. Yeah, so I'm definitely a chum before I start fishing.
Jason is the same way. Jason's a pre-chummer, if you want to call it that.
I'm a mixed bag, man. Honestly, and it's probably just because I just super methodical thinker when I
Yeah.
do stuff, and so the first spot generally, so we start the trip. That first spot, I'm gonna see what's going on today. I'm gonna load it up, and see what's going on.
So you're a pre-chummer at the first spot.
At the first spot. Now, if that first spot, depending on what happens, I kind of dial my plan in for the day based on what took place there.
You turn into a post-chummer.
I could turn into a post-chummer or a no-chummer.
Or
You
no
know?
chummer.
A no-chummer, sometimes
Right.
you can catch more fish
Right.
than a chum slinger, especially in the springtime. Now, a month ago, man, I mean, you could chum, and they're jumping out of the water. You know what I mean? A lot of times now, or at least the last couple of days, you know, with snook, if you've never seen them get chummed up, they bust the top of the water. You can almost tell if it's a snook or even a trout just by the way they sound. And in the last few days, the snook, they're getting excited, but they're boiling. They're not even coming to the surface.
You're not getting that pop.
And those baits that are on the surface, the birds are getting them.
Mm-hmm.
And the baits that are down, you know, say a foot below the water column, are the ones that are getting smoked. And you got to kind of look and pay attention because you'll see the boils,
Right.
but they're not actually coming up to the surface, you know, popping. And so that's where I'm going with kind of the way I do it is I kind of each step I go that day I kind of adjust, you know, what's going on. But it definitely helps, especially for snook. Sometimes I think when I'm red fishing, it depends on if you're fishing a school of fish or like a shoreline that's got peppered redfish.
Yeah,
Now trout, get out the way, son. Here comes the chum.
absolutely.
Like
you get them schooled up too at that
I'm
point.
unloading the well on them, dude.
I hear
I'm
ya.
hitting guys in the back
I
of the
hear ya.
head.
I was just curious. We got a question here, and I'm assuming Stacy is your wife. Ty?
Oh yeah, yep.
She says that she don't give you no time to pre-chum. She's got her bait in the
She's
water,
back there
but
waiting at
she's
the live well when you kill the
Her
motor.
and my sons, they are. Oh yeah, they're before I'm ready. They're already putting baits in the water. I'm like,
Power
well,
poles ain't even down
oh
yet.
yeah,
They're on it.
oh yeah.
Well, we got a question here from Matt. With those conditions, what size leader do y'all drop to? What would you, I'm
What would you
assuming
saw
it says,
is
would
too
you say
light?
is too light? Go ahead. What do y'all?
I really don't go less than 20.
I will
That's-
drop down to 20, but I typically use 25 to 30
I think
when
that's a
I'm
good
fishing.
rule of thumb.
But I feel anything
Typically
less than
start
that,
with 30 and these clear water conditions occasionally drop to 20.
yeah.
Don't go, I personally don't go lower than 20. I don't even own any leader that's less than 20.
I have some 15 pound, but I think I've had it for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's never
Not getting
used.
much use.
I'll drop down to 15 if it's that bad, but especially with live bait, you know, 20 like I said is probably about where you need to be as far as getting down there. Now in tournaments where I've redfish tournament fish, and we'll drop down to 15 to get a bite. You know, you may break the fish off, but if you know how to use your drag,
Mhm.
I mean, you can catch these fish. I'll tell you, and I don't know if he's watching, but a good friend of mine, Chris Howell, I'm with him, and this just comes to my memory, but an excellent fisherman, been around the block a time or two, and I was fishing with him one day, and I watched him catch probably a 38 to 40 inch snook on either 10 or 15 pound leader.
Oh yeah.
We were fishing the fish and they wouldn't eat, so we just kept dropping down. It was almost like a game,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he hooked one. But I mean, literally, we had to come off, you know, power pole and like chase thing to catch it. But it can be fun, and sometimes that's all it takes to get the bite, you know. So it just depends on what you want out of it. But for most of what we do, I'd say 20 pound is good. If you're on a snook bite, and this is sometimes this, I'll bump up to like 30 when it doesn't matter, and that just keeps me free tying leaders as
Yep.
much. You know, I always tell
So
people
you typically use 20?
I'll use 20, 25 on, I'd say 90% of the time. But there are times we're snook fishing when I'll go up to 30, especially when we're catching a lot of juvenile snook. Just because chances are it doesn't matter.
You get
but
'em in that feeding frenzy.
yeah, you get them in that
for
feeding
it.
frenzy, and there's not a big difference to it. But the abrasion resistance between the 30 gives you a few more fish before you've got to retie that hook. So I think that helps. But other than that, you know, it's all good. I'd say 20, 25 will do it. Now, if you're going to be big snookshin and wanting to land them, it ain't outside the box to drop in 40, 60
Right.
on them. But
Yeah,
you're using
you're
bigger
talking
baits,
dock.
using a cut bait, you're using something else, and that's just to give you the ability to stop that fish or pull them out of the trees if you need to, you know.
Well, let's
So-
go ahead with the trivia question and give away this
Top
hat shirt.
trivia.
See what we got here.
See what we got here. Our
All
audio's
right.
cutting out. Whose mic is whose mic? No, I messed with the mic box. I had to plug in my laptop. It was about to die. But anyway, I think we're good. I can see audio there. So
All right. Well, trivia question. Albacore tuna can be found in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Which of these is their main source of food? Algae, sargassum weed, plankton, or cephalopods? And I can read it again if you
yeah, read it one more time,
All right,
guys.
so albacore tuna can be found in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Which of these is their main source of food? Algae, sargassum weed, plankton, or cephalopods?
We went.
We're back in confidential informant mode.
So it's tie deep trivia.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, guys. Is that any better? Is that any better? Does that make a difference?
You hear us now.
We're just a bunch of low-dunk fishermen up here.
Yeah.
Like slow down rap.
That's
Check
our
it,
man.
check it, check it, check it.
That's our man, Travis.
I don't know what's up with that, man.
Well, we'll just live with it till
Y'all
it's-
just have to live with it, man. Hey, it's like watching you know, good episode of Cops or something, man. Is it a little better?
Like low down rap.
A lot better. All right.
Okay, good.
All right,
Good.
cool.
We got a
So
winner.
let's read the question because I think it's a unique question. I mean, obviously, looks like John is going to get a new hat and a shirt, but read the question again because that's a kind of a unique question and probably most people don't know.
Albacore tuna can be found in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Which of these is their main source of food? And you got algae, sargassum weed, plankton, or cephalopods.
Cephalopods. Pretty cool, man.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
And what is a cephalopod? And I did not know this.
It's like a jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
There you go.
Yep. And those big, just congregations, or I don't even know what you would call them, but masses
Flocks.
of flocks,
It's a
droves.
It's a flock of
I don't know.
cephalopods.
But we get them every now and then. Anybody ever been to the bridge and catch all them jellyfish?
Yeah, and then I get them on my neck. And the
Oh
tentacles get
man,
stuck
it's
in my
it's
neck, and
it
pretty
sucks,
gruesome
man.
throughout the day.
It sucks. You get them everywhere, man.
I
But,
saw her catching them at the bridge, and I called an albacore tuna.
Right next to him, on a little gold hook.
No, in my head. It was. It
A
was.
little gold
Yeah,
hook.
it was something.
That's good. Well, that's kind of cool, man. So we thought that was a neat question,
Yeah,
man.
well,
so
it didn't
John,
stop them.
come on here, brother. We got a hat and a shirt for you. Just what you need. Another hat and a shirt. We got it right here for you. But anyway, guys. So let's talk a little bit about, kind of what's coming up.
Yes.
What are we preparing for? What are we looking for? And I think we've got one more little cold spell coming. I think it's the back end of that.
Nor'easter.
Nor'easter.
Yep.
I can't. I don't have a northern voice, but
You guys.
You guys.
use guys in Northeast.
My dog.
But y'all need to keep stuff up north, man. So what I'm thinking is this is kind of a pro. Well, I think catch-22. What's going on right now? We've talked over the last few weeks about how February and spring is still early, and all these fish that we would normally fish during, say, March and April, we're catching them everywhere.
Right.
Yep.
And talked about how what's going to happen if we get this bad cold front, and are we going to get fish kills, and is it going to ruin our spring fish, or is it going to change it, is it going to delay it? Are tarpon going to be here early because of what's going on? And so it's a catch-22 with what's taking place right now. Fishing, it's been tough. We've been catching fish, we've been making it happen, happy clients, everything's good. But it's been miserable, sort of, getting it done.
Absolutely.
I think once we get some nice weather moving in, we get that more stable pattern coming through, start getting some thunderstorms.
Bait's gonna go to the flats.
Bait's going to start moving in flats. We're
Grass
going to
is
start
gonna grow.
catching more redfish. I was talking to a buddy on the way over. I've seen some little knots of redfish starting to move in, and we're catching them.
Mine have been all sporadic.
But I've been
One or two
focusing
here
on
or there.
snook. A lot of clients been wanting to catch snook and trout, so that's what we've been doing. And I normally try to wait a little bit till them fish kind of in and get happy, but I think all that is coming. I'm hoping that it makes the tarpon season kind of get started on point. That all starts, getting right.
I'm
But
thinking our tarpon season should be pretty good because we haven't had a cold winter like
Exactly.
we've had, and we haven't had tarpon push like we've
I'll
needed.
tell you something else too. And were you with me, Rick, once catching past crabs and bait?
We saw some past crabs.
Well, the other day I was catching bait and caught like 4 past crabs in the net.
Yeah.
That
may be I was with you. I know
I mean, nice past crabs, man. So
the time is near.
it's all coming around, man. We were fishing a spot about 2 weeks ago, and we were catching some snook. And I looked down, and all day nothing, man. All of a sudden I see this little black bug jump on the. Oh, look, I didn't even think nothing of it. All of a sudden, here comes another one. And as we're fishing, man, it's just coming. And the love bug showed up. Like
that's
I'm talking
way
like
for love bugs.
I'm talking like that, dude. In 5 minutes, my entire boat was covered in love bugs. The guy's like, "What the heck is that?" And I said, "It's love bugs, man." So I got a bucket real quick and rinsed them off. I don't know if you know it, but if you step on them, leave yellow guts all over your boat. It's a pain. But that was before these cold fronts, so it's kind of like a weird thing, you know what I'm saying? It was like it's spring here, and then it's like, psych. Here's a try 40 and see how you like it. You know what I mean? But the fish
don't like it.
The fish have kind of done the same thing, so it's both tough. But I do think it's all going to help. I think it's slowed down the pressure on some of the fish, and I think the fish have slowed down eating, which I think is going to help us in the next few weeks, especially for April fishing. So
I agree with that.
I think we're in good shape. I had a guy call me the other day and ask me if I was concerned about the temperatures and if the snook had been out on the bars and if they thought we were going to have a kill or something. I said, we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that. I mean, we were catching fish 10:30 this morning and a foot and a half of water that were perfectly fine. The first couple fish, when we were catching them, I always grab their belly and they're a little cold. By 1 o'clock, they were hot. I mean, they were warm.
More active at that time.
And these fish are, like I said, they're good, man. So I don't think we have to worry about anything with that. If anything, I think it's going to help us going forward. So
I'm in agreement with you.
Well, good.
Yeah, once that bait gets on the flats and fish can eat like they normally do this time of year, it'll be right back to.
And the grass will grow a little bit.
Yeah.
We need warm water for the grass.
Yep. Yeah, negative tides kills a lot of that grass off. So
how's your trout fishing over the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks?
Been great. I've been hammering trout actually, and then like you said earlier, fishing spots that I've been fishing and being very productive in. Like the last 3 trips, I went to some of those same spots just to say, okay, well, the day it was off.
Right.
Still off. And it's like I was just here, and I'm telling my clients, like, I promise you we catch fish here.
Right.
I'm not just saying this. But yeah, I mean, trout was really good, and this cold snap came in, and it seems like it's pushed them out of the holes I normally find in, and it's just a matter of finding where they're into.
Yeah. I was telling Rick on the way over, I had a day, 2 or 3 days ago, and I had some guys that wanted to keep some fish. And I always ask my guys before we leave, what are we doing today? Do we need a couple fish to take home for dinner? Are we just, stretching lines? Or are we going for trophies? You tell me, and I'll do my best to do what we can do. These guys wanted to catch fish first, and if they could catch a few to take home, that was, sort of the plan. So I actually went to go snook fishing. And I mean, all out. I'm like, look, man, I'm not with the trout today. These guys don't even care, blah, 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 blah. And the snook did not want to eat. Just did not. It was the first day of the cold front. And I said, you know what? I said, let's just back this plan up here. I mean, I'm looking at fish that wanted to eat. So we rolled back, and I actually went back to a wintertime spot that I fished back in December. And I'd fished it progressively over the last few weeks, and there was nothing there. And went back, man, and it was like, here we're 0, dude. And throughout, like I said, about a chum, pop, and it was one after another, trout. We started stinging, man. And so I was like, sweet, Well, today, hey, man, can we get a couple trout to take home for dinner,
I got the right spot.
Yeah, and we did not catch. I mean, this was like a 30-minute deal. Like, we left them to, and it wasn't like we sat there for 4 hours and caught every trout at this place. And it's a well-known trout spot. And so we went back there today. It was like, dude, it's coming across sideways, And every spot we found that was windy and in the areas that fished, if it was windy and wind blown, nothing happened. As soon as you tucked in and found a little area that was calm, that would normally hold fish, those were ready to eat. I don't think the fish left where I was fishing. I just think the conditions had them shut down.
Yeah.
So that's what we
And
focused
that's
on.
it a lot of times. They're there. They just not.
It's just they're not going to eat.
Right.
You know, they feel the
You
pressure.
look up and
or,
there's not a cloud in the sky. Wind's blowing 20.
Definitely high pressure.
Why are they going to eat?
It's like when you seen me yesterday, actually that's exactly what I was doing. I was trying to turn a bite in a hole that I've been just stroking trout, snook. Caught 3 snooks the day before it opened. 3 slot snooks out of this one hole. And I've been catching a flounder here and there out of the same hole because it's got a good bottom to the bottom of it. And then nothing yesterday, so I actually tucked it around the corner. We started catching small snook up against the mangroves. But
that tide flushes around that corner right there. And that's another and that's another thing too. What I noticed, and Jason and I were talking about it the other day, is our tides have been way off. We've had these negative tides in the morning, in the last mornings, with a stiff north wind. You're not getting the water come back in that you should have. Plus, it's continuing to blow, getting worse throughout the afternoon. So once it does try to turn, it turns, and it goes. You know what I'm saying? So you're getting a little bit coming in, and as soon as you lose the momentum,
it's flying
the low tide was supposed to start going. It was supposed to, outgoing tide was supposed to be 2 o'clock or whatever it was. Well, it started at 1:30 and was already honking by 2. You know, the time that tide charged. So, and we talk about that all the time. How to look for. It's not always by the book, you know. And a lot of times, man, like I'm looking at an oyster bar, or the signs, or some other visual reference other than machine in my tide chart.
Right.
You use it as a reference, but you go off of something else. There's several times where we'll have an income spot we want to go fish, and it says to be there at 10 o'clock, and you really need to be there at 2:30. You know what I mean? And you got to switch your whole plan up. And these are the types of conditions that sort of are those times when you really just got to look and kind of, I say, fish by instinct. You know what I mean? The water's not doing what it's supposed to do. You go find something that is, and
you'll know. Pull up into a spot and just not feel it. I don't feel it.
Yep. I normally go, no.
Not the right way. Not
That's
today.
Not quite right. I'm out.
Well, goodness, they're still fishing the river. There is no water.
Oh man, but anyway, yeah. So I mean, outside of that, and I know we've just kind of peppered along here, but fishing has been fairly good. If you can get it done, get the bait, and get back country, that's been our game plan. That's what we're doing for the next couple of days.
Yep.
The next week, I've actually got some mackerel trips lined. I got 2 mackerel trips lined up. I'm really hoping this wind lays down, because I'm just kind of like ready to do mackerel fishing, man. I mean, it's
good
a nice
to have
break.
that break. Isn't
It's
it?
a nice break, man, and I enjoy it. I like getting out there and just stroke them.
They're wanting to keep a line tight.
Yeah. These guys, they come every year. I started them off about, I don't know, 3 years ago or so, and they come down and do a meat trip, and they do a big fish for their family when they come down. And so we took them mackerel fishing, and they loved it, man. So every year they do it, and I'll put them into March because it's kind of right before the big April snook and inshore stuff, and hopefully next week can do some mackerel fishing. So
I like mackerel fishing too, targeting whenever I got kids on the boat.
absolutely,
They're a gnarly good fish. They got teeth, so they always love the fear aspect of, like,
No
is
doubt.
that thing gonna bite me or not?
And usually when you're mackerel fishing, you're getting a lot of catch on other things too.
Oh,
so.
yeah, and I'll tell you too, like the guy that wants to throw the jig, that guy
Sure.
with the plug,
Yeah.
that he brings his plug with him,
Yeah.
mackerel, dude. Come on, man. Let's see how good that lure is. You know what
See
I
how
mean?
good that leader is.
And
Yeah,
the
very
leader.
You might not have that lure long.
But that's another good one I like doing too, is getting them fired up on some time and letting the guys throw artificial lures on it. That's pretty fun. You get the ladyfish mixed in, you get the bluefish mixed in, and the mackerels,
Mongo jacks.
and the monk jacks.
I love fighting jacks.
Jack.
They turn their nose up to it, but I love fighting jacks. I mean, you get them big ones and some light tackle. I mean, it can be a fight. You know what I mean? You're really into it at that point.
We get them in the river every year, and I haven't seen them in the last few weeks,
because the last year over at the hump,
dude, did we not have some jacks?
those were some big jacks. They just threw and
Me and Rick were out mackerel fishing out off this little rock, or actually off the shoal over there. And we were catching mackerel and ladyfish, and the guys were having a great time, you know. And all of a sudden, man, my guy hooks a fish, and I was like, look, guys, everybody back up, man. We got a real one here, dude. I mean, this thing is smoking, right? Well, Rick, what are you, Rick?
50 feet?
Yeah, 50, 75 feet away from me. We're kind of both out this way. Well, about that time, boom, he's got one too. Then my guy on my boat gets another one, and his boat gets another. We got like 4 or 5 of these things
And
on,
they're just,
they're all going
we had
every
lines
which way.
together, lines cutting lines.
And these like legit 15-pound jacks
Easy,
plus.
easy.
I mean, conservative.
Stroke
But
a reel real quick.
oh yeah, we're using like 3,000,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
spinning gear, and these things are just taking us to town, right? And so all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's a jack. You know? Well, this guy breaks his off on this guy, and that guy breaks his off on this guy, and all of a sudden the guy that we had 2, we're down to 2. So Rick's got one, I got one, and my guy's fighting his, and then I think mine got eaten by the shark.
Shark.
And then you broke yours off on the troll motor or
Yeah.
something. It was like a 15-minute just
Yeah.
complete chaos. Like, all right, trip's over.
Yeah.
Game over,
We
man.
had 60 pounds of jack on and ended up with a head.
Yeah, yeah. And my guy fights it for a solid 10, 15 minutes, and he's just, I mean, like, it's here to the wall over there, and he's about to get it up, man, and all of a sudden it just goes limp, and he's like, something just happened. And I'm talking a jack like this, dude, like a
big
horseshoe. It's
Oh,
gone. And I'm going, the
Good
man in the
size
gray suit
shark.
just come slid out of the channel there and smoked him.
We taxed.
But yeah, so no, the jacks are fun, man. I like fishing the jacks on seawalls, or when they have something they can pin the bait
Pin
against.
it up against the wall.
It's fun to watch them, man. Like we'll fish
Aggressive.
some residential canals, and then a real popular spot is down by the power plant. And if you can get these fish to where baits or your chum or whatever is getting pushed up against an area, and these things down, dude, it's like it's insane.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't. They kind of turn their nose to jacks.
Right.
But you're just looking for the pure sport of catching. It don't get no better.
Well,
I mean, we don't have anything in the bay that fights that hard.
No, they're
Pound for pound. What
Canal
else?
Tuna.
Yeah.
What else is gonna get that kind of battle?
Probably the best fighting fish, pulling drag wise
Sure.
and keeping you on
Yeah.
your toes.
and they're not
shore.
picky, which is cool. I mean, when the jigs come around your boat,
Oh yeah.
like if there's one around and he's happy, he's going to eat a bait.
Yep.
Like it's not a hard thing to do. And if you've never been on a school of jacks, man,
Oh.
hey, dude, I've been out there in the middle of the bay when they spawn, and I'm talking. You look out, and as far as you can see, is nothing but jack going nuts, dude. And every bait you throw, it's just or a plug or whatever you throw, a hook, go out there, and they're going to hammer it, man. And that's a time.
I've been sitting on the Alify before and watched school come down towards the mouth of the river. It's as wide as the river is.
Oh, yeah.
It's out of the water, and if there's getting away, you just start seeing it fly. And I mean,
Oh.
they're breaching water, eating them. It's pretty fun. I don't turn mine up to jacks at all.
No, it's definitely a time, man. Especially like you said, for the guy that's wanting to yank on a string.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's your fish right there. And I tell you, we were in Louisiana, and some folks that I know, some guys that watch us in Louisiana. I have I've never experienced jacks like the ones in Louisiana,
Big.
dude. The size of this friggin' table. I mean,
Wow.
like giants. We're out there catching redfish, man, and all of a sudden, like freight train, like dude, I think just hooked like a freaking bull shark or something. I mean, pull the pole, dude. We got to go, and they are insane. We hooked 3 of those jacks. Didn't land a single one. I mean, it was like these are tarpon gear.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But and I didn't know because we were out there like catching fish, redfish, and I'm like, dude, bro, I got like a 80-pound redfish on here, man. He's not stopping, and it was a giant jack.
Louisiana state record
Yeah,
here.
man. But anyhow, man. So it's all good, man. Things are about to go down.
Things
The
are about
fishing
to-
is about to fire off. The cold front is kind of putting stuff in check, I think, and getting it set up right for us here in the next week or so,
A
man.
question for you guys about, I know we're in snook season, and as captains, sometimes we kind of hedge and protect fishery, but how are y'all on keeping snook? And I'll just tell you how I am, and then you can I'll tell my group if they want to snook. We're going to keep if we catch them, we're going to keep one snook.
Yep.
We're not, if there's 3 guys on the boat or 4 guys on the boat, I don't care how good the snook fishing is today, we're not taking 2 snook home, we're not taking 3 snook home, we're not taking 4 snook home.
Right.
We're taking a 1. And if you get one that's in the slot, you got to make a decision.
Right.
You're going in the live well for a bigger one. You make a decision, because I'm not going to stress that fish. Make a decision on that fish. If you want him, we'll put him on ice. If not, we'll roll on.
I agree 100%.
I think most guides have kind of
Adopted
that.
Yeah.
I hope and wish that, you know, our recreational anglers would follow suit. I don't really know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of what most people are doing, but I think that's probably good for the fishery.
Absolutely.
And you know, you catch a 30-inch snook, there's a lot of meat there. You know,
It's a big
For
fish.
a family of 4, that's a well over a dinner. One
Yeah.
good 30-inch snook,
Right.
you're talking 6-7 pounds of meat.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've kind of done that with, and I know Travis is this way and Jason, so we've kind of done with the trout over the years as far as keeping the 1 over 20.
Right.
And I'll tell people straight up on the boat, you know, if it's 23 or above,
Yeah,
Let
it's
it
not
breed.
worth it. Yeah.
that's the bait maker. Send that one
Yep.
back.
Yep.
You know, they have netics like anything else. Not every trout is going to get that 25 to 7 inches. If you got one that's, you know, 25 inches, let that go make some babies. That's going to help your fish. And over time, I'm 53. When I was in high school, if you caught a 20-inch trout, man, that was something.
Oh yeah.
That was in the early 80s. If you caught a 20-inch trout, man, you had something to hang your hat on that you didn't see very many.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at that. 20-inch trout is common now.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
nothing to get a 20-inch trout.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that's what did, you know, definitely the net in has helped. And I think just people
Being anglers.
being better anglers. I mean, I watched some guys the other day, and if you all are out there trout fishing, man, don't touch a trout with a dry hand. Don't touch a trout with a dry towel. If you're going to use a towel, wet towel, because
Right.
you're going to release that trout without his
Any
slime
slime.
coat.
Get a D-hooker.
Get a
It's the
D-hooker.
cheapest tool
You
you can
ain't
put on
gotta
your boat
touch
that
'em.
you will use
You
every
ain't got to
day.
touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you fit Captain Rick, bring your own D-hooker.
Why?
Because all the catfish. I mean,
Yeah.
he has one, but you'll get them so quick that you
Yes.
might need to have it in your
Yeah,
pocket.
I try to issue a D-hooker to everyone as they get on the
Real
boat.
simple.
Yes, the real simple cat shucker is what we call it. So if I get on that good catfish bite, I don't have to deal with them. Everybody can D-hook their own catfish and move on.
I tell you what's funny. And I don't know. I carry one on each side of the boat, right?
You
The
need to get
D-hookers.
5.
I should one.
And one to everybody and keep one in
And
your
a
pocket.
kit.
It's worked great for
That's
me.
right. That's right. But I think it's funny you watch people that have never used a D-hooker
Oh yeah.
to try to hook a fish.
Not to throw her on blast. My wife's one of them. It's funny watching.
Dude,
her
it's
use-
hilarious, and it's really not a tough thing to do, and it's kind of funky. Like when you look at the tool, it's not the way you would expect to probably use it when you look at it, right?
Right.
Because you're like, it's got this hook thing on it, and I'm supposed to pull it out. So you always see people yanking on it like this, try to get the hook out.
Or you just
And-
turn leader down and pull up.
Yep. So so in case you're wondering, you got the D-hooker like this. You put it in the hook, and you hold the D-hook tool up like this, and you got the line
Below
lower than the hook or fish.
Most of the time,
And then-
gravity will just take him
and
off.
pop right off, man. But it's that guy in the back of the boat. I got it, Cap. Don't, get his bait. And I'm like, hey, Jerry, been back there for 10 minutes on that catfish, man. What's going on? This tool that you got, man, you got a pair of pliers?
Does this thing come with instructions?
It's like, that gums.
That is funny though. We ought to start filming that just every now and then when you find that guy that don't know how to use one,
Or the
Just-
guy
just
that's using
kinda,
the dead red
you
fins
know,
on the top of the well. Yeah,
just-
get your own bait.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that.
I caught him. I don't need a net. Yeah, that was dead, dude. Take the bait net and get
man.
one if you want one.
And I love if you do this, man, we're not making fun of you. It's just everybody's got to learn. But the guy that wants to hook the straight up from the bottom, like they do the minnows, regular like a freshwater minnow.
Or a mullet. I'll run a mullet like that every
Well,
day.
it's different.
You
But
got that big flat
Yeah.
tail, but yeah, not a white bait.
sardines aren't that way.
No.
Not at all.
They got that perfect little hole right below that cartilage that's just made for a hook.
It's funny, man. That's
You
funny.
get. I think that bait is dead before he hits the water when they do that. They throw him out there. Next
No,
thing
the best one is the guy, and I don't know where this is going,
I
but it's
don't
all
know.
funny and it's
Yeah.
funny games. And so I'm not picking on anybody, but we do that every day. So the things we see, they're funny to us, and it's not like we're not making fun of anybody. It's just fun. It's just that's what keeps it interesting and
We just
comical
don't
for
know,
us.
you know?
But the guy that's in front of the boat, and you'll give him bait, right? And he can't decide where he wants to throw it. And he spends 5 minutes
hang there till he's
looking
too much
around
airtime.
for that bait, for where he wants to throw that fish. And he slings it out there, and about the time it hits the water, old turn comes down and smoke it because it don't move,
Yeah,
you know? It's the bird's fault.
it's yeah.
But so Scott asks, what is our favorite place to hook your live bait? I am a tail hooker.
I'm a belly hooker.
That's
Nose hooker.
We're hookers, I guess.
we're all hookers in some form or another. But
I do
now-
some belly hooking.
now
but
belly hook-
I'm not much on the tail hooking. I don't do a whole lot of that.
And not like deep in the belly. I like right under the pectoral fin. There's
Yeah.
almost a soft
There-
spot.
yeah, there
the
is.
hook knife slides
Yeah.
through easily. Doesn't pierce the organs. It'll live forever. But I can cast a country mile like
Right.
that.
and there's a little trick to that, is on a greenback, right? Scaled sardine. When you belly hook, or when you put that hook right on that pectoral fin, they've got an air bladder in there. A lot of times when you go to throw your chum and squeeze them, and they go, tss, tss,
Mhm.
that's that air bladder. It's in there. So a lot of times, if you're getting birded up, or if your baits are coming to the surface, we'll belly hook those baits, and it pops air in there. And a lot of times, them baits will dive
To the grass.
straight to the bottom. For me, so that's a technique I'll use a lot. Is trout fishing too, because sometimes those trout want to come up.
Now belly hooking was great around the bushes.
It works great around the bushes. Another part too
or
is
tail hook. I mean,
or
that's-
I like probably my all-time, like, the way I like to do it is bigger bait, tail hooked, no tail. That's how I like. If I was gonna go out and fish, if I could pick the bait I would choose
One way
and
or
do
another.
whatever, I would go fish, and I'd have mag baits, tail hooked with a 3 to 4 out circle hook, and I clip every single tail. And what I was doing is
but
I'd
you
be
don't
fishing.
clip it till it bleeds. You
I don't clip it till it
you're
bleeds. I clip
cutting it to get more
right to
action.
the end of the cartilage where it's at. I don't want him bleeding. I
Right.
want him to stay alive. And it's funny, and you can test this, but I do it a lot when I went fishing, especially schools of fish that are spooky. But if you do that and you clip that tail, especially on a big bait, drop one, do it, and drop one beside your boat, and that thing will just sit there and do a circle, right in the same 2-foot little area. He'll sit there and spin in a circle. And a lot of times when I've got real active bait and I know where fish are, but I can't keep a bait in the trees,
Always
I'm
back out.
I'm slinging him up in there. I'm putting his tail, and having him do the dance right around the edge of trees. And a lot of times, you can be pretty successful with it. And it's a matter of fishing where you're keeping bait in the strike zone.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing. I say that all the time. Sometimes that's cut bait. Sometimes you can't keep a live bait in that area, or the fish are being spooky or whatever the case is. But keeping a bait in the strike zone is probably the most basic principle to catching a lot of fish.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The more, and that could be your bait swimming off over here. You get that guy, oh, he's living over here, and the bait's behind the back of the
I had
boat.
one last
You
week.
know,
Yeah.
The bait was under the boat, and he's
Yeah.
just standing there. I'm like, you gotta let up and cast it back out. Like, you're not gonna. We've caught fish at the boat, but
Right.
not like
Yeah.
you
Right.
need to get it back away
Right.
from
Yeah.
the boat.
We're in a half foot of water and
Yeah.
he's under the boat.
yeah,
But with cutting the tails as well, if you ever notice, like you said, drop it down the boat and watch it. That thing does not stop shaking,
Mm-mm.
so it's just
Vibrations.
creating vibrations. Exactly, and the fish are gonna pick up on that in the lateral line, key in on it quicker. So hopefully you'll get the bite you're looking
exactly. Yep, no
Yeah.
doubt, man. It was the same for pinfish too. We'll be talking about that soon. It's coming up. I've got a little thing set up, man. It's the power of the pinfish, and we're gonna be talking about it right here.
for. I do a lot of my red fishing on fish.
It's the shiz, man. That's all I can say. But anyways, it looks like we're coming to the end of the show. We have rambled on for about an hour here, and they're gonna kick us out of the door. But we do appreciate you joining us in, and
Absolutely.
Thanks for
we
having me.
Absolutely.
appreciate Captain
Thank
Ty
you
for coming
spending
in.
Your time with
And
us.
if you guys want to get out and do some fishing, we can definitely do that for you. You can give me a shout. Captain Travis Yaeckel, cell phone number 813-830-3474 or www.fishbyinstinct.com. My man Ty Colby.
813-380-8269. It's tellnotailscharters.com.
In Big Country.
13601-2900. No website.
No website. Think like a pylon.
Like a pylon.
Guys, until next week, tight lines, and stay safe out there. We're going to get at it in the morning. Follow us on our Facebook page, YouTube. You can find it. Always shoot us an email, give us a call, answer any questions you got. And until next time, guys, be safe out there and tight lines. We appreciate you.
Out. See you later.